I have less ground to cover now that Barbara has sort of covered the landscape. I do want to say that I perhaps offer a little bit of a different perspective. My experience has been from big firms, and I was in one of the big firms that did both employer side and employee side employment law. So I've seen it from both sides, and the issue of precarious employment, from my point of view, is a much larger issue that covers not only the issue of people not being able to live on a regular paycheck, but it also means, from the way I see it, issues about access to justice, people not being aware of what their rights are, and even accessing laws that are already in place to protect precarious workers, and also an issue about the economy on a larger scale. So I think when we're thinking about why should we care, I think we should care that the statistics are showing that over the last 20 years, the regular job market has steadily declined. There are more and more people who are working part-time, who have become independent contractors, or who are forced into their own self-employment. So they become independent contractors, or they start their own little business, no regular income. It's symptomatic of a much larger problem, and that's trying to get our economy back into shape, and having people aware of what their rights are. And Barbara has already covered a lot of what I was thinking of saying, so what I'm going to do is just give you an overview of what the current government is doing. And I think it was last year, law was passed, this act called the Stronger Workplaces for a Stronger Economy. And as part of that, some of that went into effect this year. Every single individual who is a worker is supposed to get a copy of the employment standards poster. How many of you have actually got one in your workplace? So I don't see all hands up. And that's one of the things that is a problem. There are laws to protect you. There are laws that employers are supposed to be aware of, and they're actually not aware of it. I have employer clients. I sent a bulletin to all the ones that I had saying, by the way, you're supposed to have this out by this date. And almost every single one of them said, oh, I didn't know. And it's the same with the workers. And if your main language is not English, as more and more workplaces have more immigrants in place, you have a right to have a copy of that employment standards poster in a different language. And the Ministry of Labor has, I think, 16 different languages that poster has been translated into. I think for sure there's Mandarin and Cantonese, there's Portuguese, Italian, Vietnamese, Greek. You can have a copy in the language that you are most familiar with, so that you are aware of your rights. These are some of the things that are very important. The government is currently undergoing a public consultation process about a review of the Employment Standards Act and the Ontario Labour Relations Act. And both of those are the key pieces of legislation for workers in Ontario. Everyone recognizes that the workplace is changing. Everyone knows that some changes have to be made. And the question is, what changes? What do we need to do to make sure that vulnerable people are protected, and at the same time that the economy can still somehow grow? So I know that from my small business clients, they're suffering. And it's hard for them to fathom an increase in the in the minimum wage. At the same time, it's very hard for workers to survive on a minimum wage. So these are some of the things that the consultation process will have to take into consideration. What is it that we need? what is it that we can do. And in my view, I think we need public education. We need people to really understand what their rights are. One of the things that I have come across is independent contractors. And they don't understand that in some circumstances, even though they are called independent contractors, they actually have the rights of an employee in the workplace. So your boss might just come up to you one day and say, hey, you're an independent contractor, I'm allowed to terminate you and not give you any termination pay or any notice, and that's it, you're out. And some people will just accept that because they have this piece of paper that says, I'm an independent contractor, so I'm not entitled to anything. And you have to realize that sometimes what the paper is isn't what you are entitled to under the law. As an independent contractor, you're also covered by the Human Rights Code, and that's something that some people don't understand as well. You might read the Human Rights Code and think, oh, it only covers people in employment situations. So if I'm harassed and if I'm discriminated against and I'm an independent contractor, then I'm not covered. You are. So the courts have interpreted the Human Rights Code to cover independent contractors. The same with interns. So I can't believe how many people have come up to me recently. Even lawyers are having a hard time, and they've said, you know, I just graduated, I just articled as a lawyer, and I can't find a job. I'll work for you for free, and you know, I'll get on my foot that way. Well, you can't work for free. Some lawyers will take advantage of that, and some employers will take advantage of that. But if you're going to take someone in and say that they're an intern and I'm entitled to not pay them, then you better make sure that you're training them. The only way that you are allowed to have someone in your workplace and not pay them is if you actually put them on a training program. And if you're not being trained, if all you're doing is photocopying or bringing coffee to the boss, that is not, you're not doing an internship, and you're entitled to be paid. So that made the news not too long ago when Bell was chastised for having a lot of interns, and those interns were basically not doing very much. They weren't being trained, they were doing the work of what regular paid employees were doing. That's really, I don't have much prepared, I just wanted you to be aware. The government right now is looking into ways to change the laws where it can. If you feel that you have something to say, written submissions are being accepted by the government until September 18. So those of you out there who are community activists, who are working for either the employer or the employees, for workers, please consider. The consultation process is there to hear from people, and if you don't make your voices heard, your input won't be there. Thanks.